luscious this beautiful Friday morning in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome to your daily dose of sunshine, Sunrise Daily. I'm Maufe Ogun Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. It's 26 degrees here in Lagos, and guess what? It's the last day of the first month of the second half of the year 2026. I say welcome to the program.
Well, all of that calculation is doing my head in. It's the 31st of July, and we know it's the second half of the year already. But while we're telling you about the temperature in our various cities, someone will need to check on the temperature of the governors this morning, Ayo, as the president yesterday fired shots at the governors, telling them to stop building needless flyovers where the numbers do not justify. He wants them instead to focus on quality of life, particularly security. Now, he made this statement when the Olubadan of Ibadan land went to visit him, ostensibly in a thank you visit of sorts, with other traditional rulers on the rescue of the Orire children. While the president was speaking with him and the other traditional rulers gathered, he made to reiterate the fact that no ransom was paid in the rescue of the children. Of course, the Olubadan had his own comments as well, saying that this marks a turning point in the issue of kidnapping in Nigeria. But while the president was giving his comments, he was saying that that's why he's hoping that, you know, the Olubadan perhaps can have a conversation with governors as well. He was saying something to the effect that, you know, you also governed at some point. And if we had the numbers that these governors, if we were able to get this amount of money that I'm currently pushing to the governors, you know, perhaps we would have done things differently in our time. He spoke about how nobody is borrowing to pay salaries now. He says that instead of, that they should focus, that the governors should focus instead on the quality of life. But don't let me paraphrase what the president said. Perhaps you should hear him for yourself.
He said, no deal. We are not going to negotiate with criminals. They committed murder, and we were ready to finish with their families and members of their own communities. So, you have governed before as the governor. You need to help us communicate to these governors to make the economy of operation is high. They should do more to, instead of fly over where there's no numeric traffic, build roads and arteries, network to really enhance the quality of life and the accessibility of the security agencies to penetrate those areas.
I do wonder, Ayo, if we'll be getting any response from the governors, because, you know, if it was you and I, or you or I that said this, you know, perhaps we'll be seeing editorials by now. But do you think that we'll be getting any response from their excellencies?
Well, I guess we'll have to wait. This is not the first time the president said it. I remember and he said it the first time to a group of traditional rulers that also came to visit him at the time. And he was telling them exactly the same thing. Call your governors to order. They're getting a lot more money now. Let them focus on governance that improves on the lives and livelihood of people. Now, whether or not we will get any response from them, I guess that is left to them. After all, they have that peer review mechanism called the Nigerian Governors Forum. How actively that has helped them to review each other's processes, that peer review mechanism, I guess we wait to see. But, you know, to the substantive issue of whether or not, the governors are doing what they're supposed to do, as they're supposed to do, I think the question should be to us Nigerians generally. You know, Mark, I always talk about the over-centralization of our expectations from the federal government. Today, the president did this, the federal government did that, the minister didn't do this, and all of that. But we have state governors who have local government chairmen. And according to the judgment of, was it 2 years ago, they ought to be autonomous. They ought to be getting their finances directly. They ought to be having their own security meetings. They ought to be collaborating from one local government to the other. They have community development associations. What are they doing themselves with the resources they get to improve directly on the lives of their people? Mokwe, we over-centralize stuff, and we don't even know, many Nigerians don't know the cadres of responsibility of the local government chairman, the state government, the state governor of the state, and the president, the federal government. The different responsibilities that each one of them has in health, in education, in transportation, you name it. Now, we have things, many people hear these things when they say state road. My colleagues on Morning Brief were talking about a federal road. In other words, it has a direct responsibility of the federal government. There are federal roads in Lagos that the government of Lagos over and over again have had to work on. I am aware of that. There is no doubt the infrastructure, the road infrastructure that the Oyo State government has put out, that it's massive and it's enormous. Absolutely no problem with it. The question is, and I have had to raise that issue as well, how come no noise is being made about it? So yes, let's know if you're doing anything so that people will appreciate whatever it is that you're doing. But then the cadres of responsibilities, Mokwe, that in my opinion is where the issue is.
Well, very well said, Ayo. I would also add that, whilst it is commendable that governors build roads, build hospitals, I would like them to focus on measuring how these things really impact lives. For instance, if you build a hospital, how does it make sure that your maternal mortality figures come down? How does it make sure that your infant mortality figures are reduced? How do you ensure that when people visit that hospital, their wait times are, are few and far between? How do you ensure that if free medicine has been provided, for instance, or subsidized medicine, how is it getting into the hands of those who really need it? That is where we talk about the quality of life, and that's where the work really lies. So as I said earlier, and as I has reiterated, while it is commendable that infrastructure is built, and perhaps the easiest of them are roads and flyovers, as the president has said, the real job lies in the very tiny details. So if you build roads, for instance, are those roads swept? What infrastructure, what do you have in place to make sure that they are maintained as and when due? The weeds, the grass around it, is it cut? Or is half your road overtaken by sand? What is sanitation like in your state? These are the key questions. These are the things that truly impact the quality of life. Today we're dealing with a cholera outbreak in parts of the north. Big questions as to the quality of water that people are able to get. So lots of questions really. I think it's a good thing that this has come from the president. Whatever response we will get, we will see if we will get some response from their excellencies. But I'm glad that the president is bringing this home. Well, of course, he also has his job cut out for him because, Mr. President, it's a good thing that you have also set up these divisions in the Nigerian army. From what we have been told, that is the easy part. The real work now is about populating it and making sure that what really needs to be in place to make sure that these divisions really take off is the hard work. And in any case, Mr. President, the Nigerian army is not the one, they're not the first responders. The Nigerian police are the first responders. So big question on what it is we're doing to overhaul the Nigerian police and make sure, I know that we're looking at state policing, but making sure that what we have right now are able to respond when it is the Nigerians call on them. But that said, we'll take a quick break. We're looking at politics this morning. It's a heavy lineup on the political front. We'll be going first to Rivers State and, of course, State of the Nation conversation. Just stay with us.
As you can see, Mr. Tony Yokol is here with me in the studio. He is a co-founder and former group executive director of Sahara Group. And he's here with me. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Peter Drucker, that management consultant, once said, and one of my favorite quotes, that the most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. We have heard what the governor of Rivers State said about the peace deal and all of that. What are the things, in your opinion, that aren't being said?
You know, at the end of the day, Rivers State has always, prior to now, been in the news for all the wrong things. And one of the things that I am certain about is that Rivers is so central to Nigeria, economy, politically, and socially, for it to be a byline. Which means that if Rivers should sneeze, Nigeria will catch a cold. We are now at the crux of creating a new future for Rivers State. Unfortunately, the governor of Fubara had played himself out of that equation in the last with the last political shenanigans that we saw. And so we're now having to rebuild Rivers State from scratch, of which he has a choice to be a part of it or not. And that's where we are. What is not being said is that Rivers State has to rebuild, and it has to rebuild politically from a different direction if we're going to remain as relevant in Nigeria's future as we need to be. And that's where we are.
One of the challenges that I have had, we hear there is a peace deal. What are the components of the peace deal?
I don't know between, I suspect you're talking about Governor Fubara and the minister. I don't know what the components of that peace deal is. What I'm certain,
and it is not in public domain.
No, it's not in public domain. But what we're certain about is that he's not running for the next election. So that's what we're certain about. What we're certain about is that he has up until May for his administration to run on. What he does between now and May would be components of that peace deal that he has. What we're seeing is that we're no longer in the news as Rivers State because we are fighting, we're impeaching, we're doing this and that. And those were the things that made sure that governance was non-existent in Rivers State for the last 4 years. There was nothing like governance at all. And who suffered? The people. Are we going to continue that in the next administration? God forbid.
You know, one of the reasons I asked that question is because on the one hand, we have heard about this peace deal, but we shouldn't confuse this elite reconciliation with democratic or political stability, without which we can't really have the kind of peace and progressive development that we want, isn't it?
Absolutely. On that, I agree with you 100%. And that is why the future must be built on a very different standard. It must be. We have a big problem, and democracy in Nigeria at the end of the day is at a test right now. We are testing democracy for what does the future look like. Because one, a lot of people are dissatisfied with democracy the way they see it. A lot of people do not believe that they have gotten the dividends from democracy the way that they should see it. A lot of people believe that there is an elite capture of democracy, and so they are not seeing it. Now, this is the belief of most people. Now, for those of us who are in the leadership position, who sit down every single day discussing politics and what we should be doing, the cry of the people becomes number one priority. How do they feel, and how must they be treated in a democracy where they go and they cast a vote, and where their voice is in the power of that belief that if I vote for you, then you must represent my future and my interests in government. So you see, that is what we have to begin to drive.
Okay. So when you say rebuild, what is faulty? Because one of the things that a number of people would point to now is that if it is so easy for, one individual to so disrupt, if I can use the term, or hold a position that affects the lives and livelihood of the government of a whole state, then I'm asking, what is faulty? What are we supposed to be building on? Do we have a foundation? For instance, this is not the first time we are having a rift between an incumbent and a predecessor. It's been successive. So, and from time to time we always hear of one peace deal or the other. But the issues are never really resolved as far as most Nigerians are concerned. So there is a peace deal, and then we move on. What are the issues? We don't know what the issues are. So when you talk about rebuilding, what exactly is faulty that we are rebuilding?
I heard you speaking to Mope, and I was just listening through what you were saying. And one of the fundamental issues that you picked about was the people and their own part to play. About the understanding of the difference between federal, state, local government, and even the councillors at the bottom. That lack of understanding by the people of what democracy really is. You see, democracy is not just the ability to take and go and vote on that day. Democracy does not come every 4 years when you go and vote. Now I'm talking about the people, when you just go and vote and all of that. Long before that, there are institutions of democracy. There are people who practice it on a daily basis, and your knowledge as a people of who they are, what they're doing, the accountability that they must be held to is critical. That office of the citizen is just as important as the office of the governor. What is broken is that there is no discussion there. There's no interlock between the office of the people and those in power. And some of us are deliberately becoming the bridge to that divide. That divide is real. And it's that divide that is allowing people who go into government to essentially operate without recourse to those people who they are governing. That must end.
But still on this same matter, and I'm still looking for exactly how we do that rebuilding. But when the governor made that announcement that, you know, there is now peace, he's joined the coalition, Rainbow Coalition and all of that, there are those who are asking questions of, is the governor of Rivers State considering or in consideration or sympathetic with the people who stood by him when he was being so strongly opposed?
That's in the past now. At the end of the day, that battle was fought and lost completely. So that battle was fought and lost completely. Now, once that is done, my assumption is that he would have gone with his own close allies, discussed with them, and said that this is the best way that he has to move forward for the next 6 months or thereabouts of his administration. I would assume that that's what he did, but I am not in his chamber, so I wouldn't know. But that's what I would assume he would do. But the battle that was fought and lost. Now, what do? Do you walk away? If he was going to walk away then he should not have come back as governor. But having taken the responsibility to come and finish his term, then he has to finish it in a way that allows him to govern. He can't go back into fighting.
Does this represent the wishes of the people of Rivers State?
I don't know if it does. First of all, the method with which he came into power in the first instance was contentious. Throughout the period when he was there, the contention between himself and his former Oganda he has reconciled with had a lot of problem for Rivers State. So that could not have been the wishes of the people. People looked for something different. They didn't get it. Now we have an opportunity, and I come back to this, we have an opportunity in Rivers State, and I'm praying this time around that it would work. We have an opportunity in Rivers State to set a different type of governance in Rivers State, a different type of process in electing those who represent us in power. My prayer is that we do it right. You see, the reason why I stay in Rivers State politics today and why I've been in politics from when I started till today is for these little changes, these things that begin to enable us to sit at the table and push for the kind of changes that people will believe in.
You know, there are people who say, and we'll go into more questions shortly because I'm sure she has questions around these issues, but there are those who would say that you can't remain in the place where you were traumatized and expect to be healed from there. Now, the question is, how is this rebuilding going to happen? Who are the dramatists personally? Because if it is the same people who started the problem, people are going to wonder, you knew it was wrong in the first place when you were doing it. So how are you going to solve the problem? So how is the process? What's the process of this rebuilding you're talking about?
This is a very good point. For you to fully grasp what we're talking about, then you must understand that Rivers State was deeply divided. And when I mean deeply divided, it was divided by people who had gone to war, literally shooting at each other. Blood was spilled, lives were lost, families were divided. I remember a case, and I say this all the time, the first time I came into politics, I went into a church. We're talking of a church now. APC was on one side, PDP was on one side. The aisle was the dividing gap between both parties. One party on this side, another party, nobody was mixing. And then the governor comes in at the time. The entire PDP governor, the governor walks in, all of PDP stands up, all of APC sits down. You're in church for a funeral service. You're in church. That is the kind of division that they had. Nobody was talking to each other. It was a battle. One of the things that I set out to do back then was to ensure that that kind of division must end. I'm grateful to see that today, 8 years later, that division has ended. How do we now build from there? That is the foundation. And once you understand how far we have come in Rivers State, where you can now see people from opposition parties sit down and talk to each other. Believe me, they were not talking to each other. I went into a place where one of our former governors was there. He was on the other side. I went to shake his hand and he removed his hand and walked around and warned me that I should not do that. Why? Because we were in public. And I was a candidate of APC. He warned me, said, never come, never ever do that again. And I said, but Your Excellency, you are a leader of this state. And he said, stop that. Stop that. That is the kind of state and the kind of politics that I entered into.
Well, there are other issues, but I'm pretty sure that we'll still take you up on this, so let's not mix issues yet. Marco, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm still trying to decipher. Are you still in the APC?
Oh, yes, so I'm still in the APC.
So you're a part of this rainbow coalition?
So what I represent is that there's a legacy APC that was there. Not everybody in that legacy APC left, but they were cut out of the equation because nobody was speaking about them. They had been moved aside, and they were feeling that, look, we built a party since 2013, 2014, and here we are left out, the entire party hijacked and all of that. Who is going to speak for us? And I promised them, I said that wherever I go, I will defend that APC. You cannot be forgotten. And that's who I represent. Now, based on parties, because APC is still my party, APC had insisted that, look, if we're going to work together, we must make sure that we deliver APC in Rivers State. And I said, no problem. We are an institution, I am an institution builder, and I believe in building institutions. In that case, we will represent the legacy APC in Rivers State, and that's what we do.
Okay, that hasn't quite answered whether you're a part of the Rainbow Coalition. Because, as you rightly observed, there is a legacy APC. There are those who converted or went to APC as a result of the political calculations within the party. They are now in the APC. Some of them are even local government chairmen. As a matter of fact, we understand that the APC has majority seats at the local government level. If we're still correct, as these days I'm unclear as to where the state assembly members lie, whether they are still in APC or whether they are I'm unclear really. So you also have that as well. But what we do know now is that there is some rainbow coalition, which is whose mandate really is to deliver the president for 2027. So are you a part of that?
All a part of it. So the way it is now, you no longer have divisions of APC in Rivers State, and that's what's important. So as APC now, what we have now is that we have all come into a coalition, and that coalition is to deliver APC in Rivers State come 2027, deliver the president in Rivers State come 2027, and that is what we do. I represent the legacy APC in that decision to deliver the party.
Well, you know, there are those who are quite unhappy with how things have panned out within the last 4 years in your state. When you look at, you spoke about the emergence of Governor Fubara and how he came to be governor, then the fallout he had with the Minister of the FCT, his erstwhile godfather, and how that polarized camps even within the PDP, and also gained him some followers outside of the People's Democratic Party. Now, those people, kept on egging him on. Sadly, he's abandoned. Or will I say, interestingly, not sadly, because that's not for me to say, it's for the people of Rivers State. He's abandoned the fight. He says, no, that's not what we're doing. I'm a part of this Rainbow Coalition now, and we're forging ahead. But there are those who are disappointed about that particular move, that particular decision of his. So they are unsure, they are unclear as to what exactly will be the move now. But clearly they will find it difficult to support this Rainbow Coalition because, as you said, they lost out on a fight. Have there been moves to try and pacify and try and bring into the fold those who felt left out, those who felt that things have not gone quite right within not just the APC, not just within political parties, but within the polity as a whole in Rivers State?
That's a great question, and yes, that is ongoing. And I am one of those that has reached out across board to different people, calling them and saying to them that, look, we have fought a fight that has left Rivers State further back in 20 years than we have ever been in our entire history as a state. And this is one of the times when we now must all come together to build a new Rivers State. And the only way that we can do that is that we have to do that across party lines. Don't care whether you're PDP, whether you're APC, whether you're ADC, whether you're NDC. What we care about now is that Rivers State has to seek the best from everywhere, bring them together, and let us forge a master plan that allows us to move forward. Because we have tried the division, we have tried the fighting, we have tried ensuring that you make sure that your opposition is dead completely, that they cannot stand, and that has failed. So how do we move the state forward? And that's where we are. So the short answer to your question is that yes, we are reaching out to all aggrieved parties and we're bringing everybody together to say, you know what, can we agree that we now need to move Rivers State forward? And the only way to do that is that bring the best from all your camps and let us put ourselves together so that we can deliver a new Rivers State. And that's to Ayo's question. That is how we build this new state. If not, we're going into another very bitter division which will not progress us.
There is some consensus around, among political actors as to the second term of the president at the national level. Do you have that same level of consensus for the governorship candidate of this Rainbow Coalition at the state level?
Consensus within within the party APC, the answer is yes. If it's consensus within the state of every party that this is the one, the answer is no. So there's still going to be competition. There's still going to be a need to win democratically, and that's why we're there. So there will still be a contest.
All right. What implications do you think that this will have for Rivers State going forward, especially given the events of the last 3 years or so? What scars do you think that Rivers will bear as a result of the events of the last 3 years?
The last 3 years have been very, very, very damaging to us, damaging to our psyche, damaging to who we are on the national standing. At a particular point, I believe that we almost became the laughingstock of the state because they were used for comedy, were used for satires and all of that, which means that the work of rebuilding requires the best. So are there going to be scars? Yes. But is this the first time that people have built from ashes? Absolutely no, not. Which means that you need people like me and others to come on the table and decide that, you know what, let's look inwards and let's rebuild. And that is what we must do. We cannot live in the past. We have to start living in the future. And I'm a strong advocate of building from ashes.
Whilst we are looking at that, one of the former governors of the state, former Governor Rotimi Amechi, is now the the vice presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress. What influence do you think that his, let's say, nomination or his emergence as vice presidential candidate in the ADC will have on this political arrangement in Rivers State?
I think it's good. It's good that he's there because what it does for Rivers State is, one, it keeps us in the center of the political discourse and it ensures that that which we are working towards becomes a reality. Because, one, it ensures that competition remains valid and rife. it ensures too that you cannot just take for granted that you're going to win. It then ensures also that there must be dialogue as to how you're going to move forward. So I think it's one of the best things that has happened to Rivers State, that competition continues and Rivers State remains at the center of the political dialogue. Remember I said that if Rivers State catches sneezes, Nigeria catches a cold. So we must ensure that Rivers State is prosperous, is politically active, and for once is not violent, so that we just move forward in peace and security.
Back to you.
Okay, just one question before we go. This PFIPC budget infiltration scandal, a good number of people consider it an extremely embarrassing thing to have happened, and we have had quite a number of conversations around it. What is your take, particularly given the revelations coming up from the House of Representatives on the investigations?
You know, first and foremost, it's showing, one, that we have lapses in our system of checking. And so one of the things that we must do is that we must begin to put in systems that enable us to cross-check, verify all our systems across board. And that is a reality. So sometimes it's a good thing that these things happen, because it causes you to stop, pause, recheck, and go back and correct. So lapses have been made. Corrections need to be made. So that's number one. Number two, it shows that there was a need. There's actually a need for investment. There's a need for promotions. There's a need to bring in people and investors into the nation. So somebody saw that need, saw that gap, and decided to take advantage of that gap. Okay, what should we do as a country? We have to go back, look at it and say, this need that was obviously exploited, how do we now ensure that this is now run in a credible way that brings the kind of investment and exposure that we need into Nigeria? So it's an opportunity to reset and reset it properly. And that's where it is. It's a shame it's happened this way, but it gives Nigeria the opportunity to correct a very vital part of this jigsaw puzzle of how Nigeria can become great tomorrow.
The questions have not really eased out on that conversation, and I really wish we had more time to take you up on some of them, whether or not you're even optimistic about the whatever the outcomes of the investigation by the ICPC, the House of Reps, and all of them, whether it's of any value to you is another thing we can discuss some other time. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
But quickly, I just tell you, yes, it's of value, and they should do it and push it to the end.
It's the outcome that people are wondering.
Too many eyes are on this one, so the outcome will come out.
Okay.
It's not one that they can push under the table. Too many people are interested internationally and locally. An outcome will happen.
Okay. Mr. Tonyoko is co-founder and former group executive director of Sahara Group. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you, my friend.
All right.
Indeed, we did say that we're politically heavy this morning, and we're switching gears now to another major political matter, with the African Democratic Congress. The chieftain of the political party is right here in our studios. Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo joins us now. He is also, in addition to being a chieftain of the ADC, a lawyer and politician, as well as a columnist. It's good to have you in our studios this morning. Good morning, and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and good morning, viewers from wherever you're watching.
Well, let's quickly get this out of the way. We do know that very recently, the presidential candidate of the NDC had an interview with a colleague of mine on a sister program, Sunday Politics with Seun Kimbalui, and he had quite a number of responses to an issue which started here on Sunrise Daily, the allegation that you had made against him, and he says that he was going to sue you initially for 5 billion naira, but now it seems that there is a rephrasing around that, or some clarification around that. Let's take a listen, and then you will have your response before we go to other issues.
I don't have any issue with Kenneth Okonkwo.
You've taken it to court. You sued him?
No! So I sued Kenneth, not because of what he's saying. He said the things he will say that will be worse. So I'm only suing him to say those things. So we cannot continue to preach what we are not. I want those who have things that P2B have done wrong that will make him not to be president of Nigeria to bring it out. You know, I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic. When we go to marry, we announce in the church, if you know what will not make this man to be a good husband, come and tell him. So that's Kenneth Okonkwo saying he has information that he will release to the public, and that will be the end of P2B. And that's, so you might even have some. So I want you to bring it out. Because otherwise, we vote people in. When they go in, we start saying, oh, they did this, they did this, they did. This is time for everybody to come and say, what P2B did that is wrong. And if it's proven, I go home.
So more or less declare what it is you have to say or forever hold your peace. That's basically why he sued you to court. I do not know what your response to that is.
You know, I'm really sorry to say this, but P2B is a classless, uncharismatic politician with little knowledge and zero depth.
Okay.
Look at just the lie that he just told. First of all, what he said is legally illogical. Defamation suit is a suit you bring against somebody for what he has already said, which you are alleging injured your reputation. But look at him saying he wants to sue Kenneth Okonkwo for what Kenneth Okonkwo said he intends to say. Lie.
No, that's not how I understand it.
No, that is what I'm saying. He has already commenced the suing before I said what I said. And when you're dealing with a P2B, it's good to put everything you are saying in writing. What I said is on my X handle. And this is what I said. I said it is unwise for you to sue your spokesperson.
Indeed.
Because in the defense of himself, he may divulge some confidential information. I did not say anything whether it will destroy him or not. That is one. And I said it in response because he has started suing. Defamation suit commences with pre-action notice. Pre-action notice is telling you, you have defamed me. Give me all this. The 5 billion did not commence from the court. It commenced from his pre-action notice. Then the court you're going is just to use it to get those things you have already asked for, which the person said, no, you're not qualified for it. So just look at a man who wants to be president lying, both legally and factually. So what I said is there in the Instagram.
Mr. Okonkwo, I'm trying to, draw the lines now. You say he's told a lie. But only what I get from that is that he's given a reason why he's suing.
No.
Just a moment.
Yes.
What I get, and I'm telling you, this is my own reading of it, of why he's suing, based on a statement that you made that it is unwise. Because some people will say that the implication of that is that you do have things that could be injurious to his own reputation based on how close you were to him when you were his spokesperson.
And I am telling you that defamation suit which he purportedly has brought, which of course is ill-fated, doom-fated, frivolous and vexatious, which will come to naught, is not nonsense. Now, defamation suit is for what you have already said, not what you intend to say. That is why it is a lie. So, if he had gone to court, why didn't he go to court and just say, I'm suing him for what he intends to say? Check whether that was what is in what that he sued about. Let me tell you his real reason. I've said it before. He wants to destroy any rising star from the southeast. Showore said he's a package fraud. Has he sued him? Just yesterday, the Minister of Aviation said that he lies like the fish drinks water. Has he sued him? When Arabembi talked, he said, no, he didn't have face. He's faceless. That's why he didn't sue him. The Minister of Aviation has called him a compulsive liar. And unfortunately, I agree with him on that.
He's a member of the opposition.
Because he has lied against me openly.
Okay.
And he has displayed very little knowledge. His lawyers should educate him.
I believe that Nigerians can make up their minds on, what it is that they've seen, and if indeed they agree that that is a lie. Because as I said, this is how I see it. But I wish that we could start on a happier note, because happy things did happen for the ADC, or political party,
as always,
this week. No, it's not always happy.
No.
Sometimes when you're in court, you do have these hurdles that you have to cross. But it does appear now that the Court of Appeal has cleared the way, and your party is set. There's no further hurdle stopping it or challenging its participation in the 2027 elections. Of course, you've hailed their lordships. I do not know if first this gives you confidence in the ability of the judiciary to adjudicate fairly in whatever disputes you could have as we go into the elections, pre the elections, in the elections, and post the elections.
Thank God you were here with me a lot of times when I told you that ADC does not have any legal challenge. I boasted. And I said, because we know that the only challenge ADC has is APC trying to use some instruments in the judiciary to litigate us out of existence. And we resisted them. And they are failing and falling like pack of cards. Look at what Femi Gbajabiamila said. He didn't hide it. He said, Honorable Abejide, we don't want you to leave ADC. We want you to stay there. Fight them. Scatter them. Destroy them. Call that to your friend, Nafiu Balawombe. We will help you. This is what he said. That is what is going on.
Yeah, but Honorable Abejide has since left the ADC.
Because he is a wise politician. He knows that he would be in limbo now if he didn't leave. Because in ADC, he has become a mole. So he had to go to where he should have gone in the first place and left ADC alone. Now, what am I saying? The judgment of the court that purportedly deregistered ADC has been described as a display of judicial rascality and judicial impertinence by the Court of Appeal itself. Judicial rascality refers to a culture of lawlessness within the law, where the legal process is manipulated to achieve ulterior and political motives rather than uphold justice. This is what has been going on. And you can see judicial impertinence where the lower court brazenly disregarded the order of the Court of Appeal to reach a perverse judgment that made the Court of Appeal to say he's unfit to be a judge. Look at that judgment. One, the Court of Appeal said the plaintiff did not have locus at all. That means he is not even qualified to bring the case. Yet a judge gave them judgment. Two, the Court of Appeal said there was an existing order to stay proceeding. Yet the judge proceeded to deliver the floor judgment. Three, the Court of Appeal said that these parties won seats and we are qualified to remain registered. Section 225, the summary of it says that you can only deregister a party for failure to win any elective seat or failure to win 25% of votes in any previous federal, state, local government election. This is summary of Section 225. ADC had 3 members of the House of Representatives, which the evidence of the court, which the evidence was placed before the court, and the court accepted. Yet the court went to deregister it. Why? The judge manufactured his own evidence. This is Court of Appeal talking. And manufactured his own law. He said they have defected. There is no place in the Constitution where they say if a member defects, that you would lose your registration. So he manufactured his own law, manufactured his own evidence, gave judgment based on his own manufactured evidence, which is against judicial practice. A judge gives judgment based on the evidence before him. So everything about this judgment is skewed towards frustrating the opposition and trying to coronate, according to the Minister of Aviation, trying to coronate Tinubu and not elect Tinubu in 2027. Because Tinubu, by his performance, has gone back to Bodilon with one flight ticket by 2027. Is it in the area of insecurity? I told you, when you want to give example of insecurity, you don't need to refer to yesterday, because it's a daily occurrence. In Plateau, in Benue, people are massacred in their droves. People beheaded in Oyo State, and they want you to praise them for what they would have prevented. Life and the destruction of life is better prevented than cured. Because when somebody is killed, it is final. Let me tell you a personal story that pains me. My worker, because most of the things you hear, they are nothing compared to the actual thing that is going on. My worker, they kidnapped the mother in Kaduna State, and they were asking them for ransom. When they could not provide the hundreds of millions they're asking, they've broken the two fingers of the mother. He's the only child to the mother. You can know the pain I am going through seeing these things. These ones are not reported. So the issue here is that Tinubu should not even allow the election to hold.
It's important.
He should resign and go in peace.
It's important, to state that as an organization, we also sympathize and empathize with Nigerians who are going through this on a daily basis. And that, of course, includes ourselves, because whilst it is that we're all journalists, and I'm sure you're a politician, one way or the other, we are all connected to what is currently going on in the country. But
let me live under Tinubu's government. You are making a rehearsal for hell. A lot of people who will go to hell, they would have told her that, look, we've made the rehearsal under Tinubu's government. This is hell on earth.
Let me take you back to my original question, which you somehow answered, and then went to politics, which is this issue of judicial rascality and impertinence, which their lordships raised, and which oftentimes we hear political actors refer to it when these judgments come out from the lower court. Are you confident? I think the key question I was asking is if this has buoyed your confidence in the ability of the Nigerian judiciary to correct itself, for it to be able to handle whatever political cases emerge or emanate as we go into the elections for 2027 or post the elections 2027.
Markwe, while this is a commendable development, they are not there yet. If the Court of Appeal held by its judgment that this judge is unfit to sit on the bench, that has become the judgment of a court. If they had given the same judgment on ordinary Nigerians, they would say you must enforce it. They must enforce that judgment, because obedience to court judgment is sacrosanct where rule of law prevails. Opota JSC in the military governor of Lagos State and Ojukwu said that if you disobey court order, you're saying bye-bye to rule of law, that it cannot even be compromised. And he said a subordinate court cannot disobey the court of the superior court. Now, why am I saying they're not there yet? Being held unfit by the judgment of a court, what they will do is to suspend him, let him step aside, pending the investigation by the National Judicial Council. But he is still sitting. And you know what? He's even the person sitting for the nephew Gombe case. So, automatically, having ruled that, in your opinion, ADC ought not to be a party, why would you now sit again for any judgment about its leadership? You've taken a stand. So every political case ought to be removed from him, at least immediately. And he is supposed to step aside, pending the investigation of NJC. That's why I say they are not there yet. Because if you do not apply punishment, you cannot deter.
That is on this one case.
Yes, but it's commendable.
But speaking more generally,
yes,
to the ability of the Nigerian judiciary to be fit for the 2027 elections, are you satisfied?
Now, unfortunately, the judiciary still remains the last hope of everybody. It was in democracy that I discovered it's not just for the common men alone, because even governors and presidents are now crying. It is the last hope of everybody. Being the last hope, I would rather put it this way: the judiciary should endeavor to save democracy. They should endeavor to try itself, purge itself, so that they will present Nigeria to be fit for democracy. This is what is going to guarantee foreign investment in Nigeria. Abroad, they trump up bad leaders from time to time. Democracy has not promised you that it will be sacrosanct. They will give you only very good leaders. But it is the instrument of the judiciary that helps to perfect the system. That is why it is the only arm of government that does not come by election. It comes by appointment, so that the most qualified people are fished out and appointed. Men of unquestionable integrity, men of intellectual sagacity.
I imagine you'll add women to that.
Okay, no, unfortunately, in the bench, there are no women. By their own admission. If you go to court and say, my lady, the woman will say, address me properly. You have to say, my lord. That's why they are all regarded as he's. There is no she on the bench. So maybe you will tell them to start accepting.
Well, I imagine,
and proclaiming that they are
Lord,
he's.
and anyways, we'll leave that argument for another day. But I know that Ayo has questions for you, Ayo.
Well, thank you, Rokwe. I was going to go to another department as well, but he's Mr. Okonkwo's former life. But let's talk about this present life for now. Now, there's something that the president said, and a number of people have also been talking about it, the neutrality of INEC. And a good number of times we raise questions, raise issues about whether or not the Independent National Electoral Commission is going by its the first word in its name or not. The same way we complain about the police and we have only one. At the end of the day, we still go back to the same police. The same way, as you just said, we have only one judiciary. No matter what we say, is the only one that we have. So talking about the instrument of election organizing and all of that, INEC, what do we need to tweak in its independence so that that independence can entrench trust and confidence in the Nigerian?
You know, it is very sad. Any country that has the president of a country that has morphed to be the chief spokesperson of INEC is in trouble. You can imagine President Tinubu telling the whole world that INEC is neutral. The same Tinubu, when they were campaigning in 2015, they said they will form parallel government if INEC rigs election. The same people that have been on the side that INEC has been this and that is telling you INEC is neutral. An INEC that guaranteed technical glitch in 2023 and has not explained it to the satisfaction of anybody today is neutral. INEC, we are pleading with them to be neutral. For now, they are not neutral. You knew what happened when the Court of Appeal, without jurisdiction, gave an order of status quo ante bellum. And INEC went on its own voyage of discovery to interpret it to mean that ADC does not have leadership. Does that in any institution mean neutrality? No. INEC under Joash Amopito, as I'm talking to you now, INEC has not uploaded the candidates from Enugu State that emerged legitimately from the primary election because of collusion with some local politicians. I am telling you, Joash Amopito has not uploaded the results from the primary election from Enugu State. I don't know what he's waiting for. Does that tell you of neutrality? The opposition people are gasping for life. INEC is not neutral yet.
So now that this is your position, my apologies,
in
because
the deregistration process,
yes.
I commend them because they deposed in their affidavit that these parties ought not to be deregistered, that they met the constitutional requirement. I commend them for that.
Okay.
But now that is not election yet.
Okay.
Look at what is happening in Osun State.
So now, what would you say, Mr. Okonkwo, just a second, so because we're running out of time, what would you expect INEC to do now? Because not only the political class is interested in the neutrality and confidence building of INEC, or that INEC will champion. The people also need to have that. Add that to the fact that political parties should also be in the voter awareness and voter education front. But it will seem like most of the time these battles are fought without considering the voter for whom all of these activities are.
It's unfortunate. The ruling class has always made it difficult for the opposition to achieve what you're saying. Is it not troubling that in Abia State you're hearing fantabulous amounts for you to put on your billboard? You're saying 200 million naira for a presidential person to put up his billboards. Now, let me tell you, times 200 million naira by 36 states, including FCT, and you will see the perfidy. Just opportunity to advertise and tell Nigerians what to do. So please, APC is a scourge that wants to destroy our democracy. And they are doing it now, unfortunately, in collaboration with, I'm surprised that Governor Oti will fall for that. As far as I'm concerned, that is an APC agenda. Using Governor Oti to make it impossible for the opposition parties to campaign. And it's really unfortunate. So what I'm telling you is that we are doing our best to ensure that we make sure that we advertise everything and educate the voters. In ADC, we have polling unit executives as part of our constitution, and we use our polling unit executives to canvass and educate the voters on what they would do.
Well, Mr. Okonkwo, we are totally out of time. I wish we could take a lot more. I know that we certainly will bring you back, to speak, especially as the political campaign season kicks off in earnest. We have to thank you for coming on the program this morning. Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo is the chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC. He's also a lawyer and columnist, a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's where we draw the curtains this beautiful Friday morning. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf, wishing you a great weekend.
And Amaya Makide, let's switch over straight to Business Morning.